The Kethri war fleet had already begun their retreat when Commander Margot found the young soldier. The battle for Station Artemis 7 had been brutal. The Kethri, a feline species whose reputation as warriors stretched across 3 spiral arms, had struck without warning, their sleek vessels tearing through human defenses like claws through flesh. But humanity had held. Barely. Margot picked her way through the wreckage of Docking Bay 12, her rifle raised, emergency lights casting harsh shadows across twisted metal and scorched walls. The Kethri had withdrawn an hour ago, leaving behind their dead and their debris. Standard protocol for them. Take what you can carry, leave everything else. Captain? Max's voice crackled through her helmet comm. You need to see this. She found her lieutenant crouched beside a piece of collapsed bulkhead. As she approached, she heard it, a wet, rasping sound. Breathing, labored and desperate. Max had already shifted the debris aside. Beneath it lay a young Kethri warrior, his spotted fur matted with blue blood. He couldn't have been more than their equivalent of 18. His amber eyes were glazed with pain, and a jagged piece of shrapnel protruded from his lower thorax. Fatal, by the look of it. The young Kethri's eyes focused on them with difficulty. His translator collar flickered weakly. Who, mans, he managed. His hand moved toward a weapon that was no longer there. Easy, Margot said, kneeling beside him. We're not going to hurt you. The soldier's pupils contracted in what might have been confusion. Why? Delay, kill, or go. Max was already unsealing his medical kit. That wound's deep. Shrapnel's near the primary arterial cluster. They left you, Margot said softly, studying the young alien's face. Around them, she could see the evacuation patterns. The Kethri had pulled out in organized groups, taking their wounded, the ones who could walk or be easily carried. Your people left you behind. Weakness. Cannot aid. The pride. Each word seemed to cost him. I slow. The fleet. Logical. Margot repeated. The word tasted bitter. She'd fought the Kethri for 3 years now. She'd studied their culture, their tactics, their philosophy. The strong survived. The weak were abandoned. It was efficient. It was practical. It was monstrous. Max, can we stabilize him? Her lieutenant looked up, surprise clear even through his helmet's faceplate. Captain, he's enemy combatant. We don't have the resources. Can we stabilize him, Lieutenant? Max held her gaze for a moment, then nodded. Maybe. The Kethri physiology is similar enough to Terran felines. If we can stop the bleeding, get him to medical bay. It's a long shot. Then let's take it. The young Kethri made a sound, a hiss or a laugh. Margot couldn't tell. Why? I am. Nothing to you. Enemy. Dead weight. His breathing was getting worse. Your resources. Better spent. On your own. Margot began carefully cutting away the torn combat armor around his wound. That's where you're wrong. Humans don't do that. We don't leave people behind to die. Inefficient. Maybe. But we're not machines. We're not calculators weighing cost and benefit. She worked as she spoke, her hands steady despite the urgency. Every human on this station, hell, every human in our fleet, they're here because someone, somewhere, refused to give up on them. We've been the underdog in every fight. We've been outgunned, outmaneuvered, outnumbered. But we survive because we carry each other. Max had synth gel ready. This is going to hurt, everything. Hurts, the young soldier whispered. They worked in tandem. Margot and Max moving with practiced efficiency. Stop the bleeding. Seal the wound. Stabilize the patient. Basic field medicine, but complicated by alien physiology and the severity of the injury. My name is Margot, she said as she worked, knowing that keeping him conscious, keeping him focused, might be the difference between life and death. That's Max. What's yours? The Kethri's eyes had drifted closed. They snapped open at her question. Wreath Kar, 3rd. Cub of the Obsidian Pride. Well, Wreath Kar, 3rd cub of the Obsidian Pride. You're going to live through this, and you're going to go home. And maybe you're going to tell your people that there's a different way. My pride will not understand. I was weak. I fell. You're not weak, Max said firmly, applying pressure bandages. You got hit by half a bulkhead and a plasma burst. Anyone else would have died instantly. You're tough as hell, kid. Wreath Kar's eyes moved between them. confusion evident even through the pain. You waste medicine, time, on enemy. You're not an enemy right now, Margot said. Right now, you're a patient, a casualty of war who needs help. And humans we help. It's what we do. It's what makes us human. She activated her comm. Medical Bay 3, this is Captain Margot Chen. I need an emergency trauma team at Docking Bay 12. Kethri casualty, critical condition. There was a pause on the other end. Captain, did you say Kethri? I did. He's young, he's wounded, and he's under our protection now. Get me that team, doctor. That's an order. Yes, ma'am. Team dispatching now. Rithkar's breathing had steadied slightly, though he remained pale beneath his fur. I do not understand you. Any of you. Margot smiled, though he probably couldn't interpret the expression. Maybe that's okay. Maybe that's the point. You don't have to understand it. You just have to live through it. The medical team arrived 6 minutes later. They stabilized Rithkar further, loaded him onto a hover stretcher, and rushed him toward surgery. As they disappeared down the corridor, Max stood beside Margot in the wreckage of the docking bay. Think he'll make it? Max asked. Dr. Hayes is the best we have. If anyone can save him, she can. And after? When he's recovered. He's a prisoner of war. Margot looked out through the shattered bay doors at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, the Kethri fleet was regrouping, planning their next move. And somewhere among them were warriors who had left their youngest behind to die. Because it was efficient. Because it was logical. Double quotes after, we send him home, she said quietly, with a message that humans don't abandon our wounded, that we don't calculate the worth of a life based on convenience, that maybe, just maybe, there's strength and compassion that they've never considered. Max nodded slowly. Think it'll change anything? Maybe not with the Kethri leadership. Maybe not with their military. Margot turned to leave, Max falling into step beside her. But Rithkar is young. He'll remember. He'll remember that when his people left him to die, humans saved him. And memories like that, they have a way of spreading. 3 weeks later, Rithkar was stable enough to be transferred to the POW facility. For months after that, he was part of a prisoner exchange. As he boarded the Kethri ship, he turned back to look at Margot one last time. His translator collar was clear now. Captain Chen, I will tell them. About humans. About what you did. Tell them the truth, Margot said. That's all I ask. The truth, Rithkar repeated. He touched his fist to his chest in what she'd learned was a Kethri gesture of respect. That humans do not leave their wounded. That you saved an enemy cub when logic said to let him die. That perhaps there's a strength we do not understand. As his ship departed, Max came to stand beside Margot. Think the Kethri will listen? Margot shrugged. Maybe, maybe not. But we did the right thing. And sometimes that has to be enough. Because we're human. Because we're human, Margot agreed. And humans don't do that. We don't leave people behind to die. No matter who they are. No matter what it costs us. She turned from the viewport, already thinking about the 1,000 tasks that awaited her attention. But somewhere in the back of her mind, she held onto the image of a young Kethri warrior who had learned that strength came in forms his people had never considered. And maybe, just maybe, that would make all the difference. The end.